Why Mary can't seem to get her shit together. Listen, if you are somebody who wants to feel better, you want to look better, you want to actually start aligning your lifestyle with someone who is fitter, feels better, and is healthier, this is the video for you. So I'm going to use an example. This is one that I come across a lot, and it's why Mary can't get her shit together. So we have three main pillars. We have diet, we have workout, and we have lifestyle. So here's what I want to break down. Every single thing that's going on throughout Mary's day, so you can see the obvious things that need to be changed and why they need to be changed. So on the diet side of things, she eats really good Monday through Friday-ish. That's when things start to fade for a lot of people. Maybe Mary, in this particular example, is someone who's very successful. They work really hard throughout the week. Maybe there's someone who's in college and they just have all these priorities all stacked up Monday through Friday. And then as soon as that weekend comes, they get to the area where it's like, I deserve to kind of do this or do that or whatever it is, right? I'm going to show you how you can actually still do this if that is your lifestyle that you want to do, but I'm also going to show why it's potentially sabotaging the goals that she has. So I hear this one a lot, like I'm saying, so it's a really easy one for me to go over, but I want to break down the numbers on this. So if you eat clean Monday through Thursday and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, things start to fade, essentially you're looking at 57% effort, because if we divide 4 by 7, you get 57%. So now, if you actually add up Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off times 52 weeks, you are going to get 156 days off. That means out of 365 days of the year, you're taking off almost half because you think that Friday, Saturday, Sunday is time for you to go kind of fuck off and just completely take off of your goals. All right? It doesn't mean that you can't do it. There's ways to do it. You just have to understand why it is such a big deal and why so many people get sidetracked because of this. So I just put this little gradient here. Obviously, we know the grades when you guys were back in high school or college or whatever it was. And obviously, anything below 60% is going to be an F, which means you're failing, which means, honestly, when you take Friday, Saturday, Sunday off, you're failing, right? You have failed nutrition. You have failed that entire part of your fitness journey, and it's one of the biggest ones. You've heard people talk about all the time, it's 80% nutrition, 20% training, or 70% nutrition, 30% training. I would argue it's 100% lifestyle. It's all of the things completely aligned with where you ultimately want to go. And we're going to get into that as well. But if it's 70 to 80%, you should prioritize that, right? We don't want to take 156 days off. We want to make sure that that thing is dialed all the time. And if it's not, how do we dial it in even with all these things that we want to do no matter what, because that's the lifestyle that we want to live? We can still do it, all right? On the workout side of things, this person follows a program, but when they travel, things kind of fall off, or when they drink over the weekend or whatever happens, they start to fall off. So that actual structure of that program isn't necessarily as solid as it could be. So I can tell you something right now that I see all of the time is if you're not following a structured strength training program, I don't care how hard you're going in the gym. If you go to the gym and you absolutely crush it, you're sweating, you've put it all out there, right? But you have no actual numbers that are showing progress, it is very hard for your body to put muscle mass on. For us to put muscle mass on, we need to create something called a stimulus. For us to create that stimulus, which is going to be an adaptation, we have to do something harder than we have done before. So we have to have some sort of metric that says, hey, I squatted 200 pounds last month, now I'm squatting 210 pounds, now I'm squatting 220 pounds. As we start to see these progressions, we will actually know for sure it is factual evidence that we are getting stronger, which means that we are putting muscle mass on. Now, if I go to the gym, I do whatever I want, and I do that every single time I go to the gym, I can get a phenomenal workout. However, I do not have the evidence that says that I am actually getting stronger for sure, which means that I'm putting muscle mass on for sure. Without getting stronger, it's a lot harder to put muscle mass on. You can do it doing like crazy pump workouts and this and that, but it's very, very hard to understand, like, did you do more reps this time? Did you do more of this time? Like, it's very, very hard to track. So the easiest thing that you can do if you absolutely want to put more muscle mass on is to just track it. That's literally it. If you tracked all of your food, it's the same thing. You would know for sure how many calories you were consuming, and you would know for sure if you're going to be dropping body fat, right? Or putting weight on if your goal is to put more weight on. So it's the same thing when it comes to working out. Stop doing all these fitness classes and these boot camps and all these different things. If your ultimate goal is to just lose body fat, then you can just eat less, right? And you can do these classes to help you burn more calories, but it's not necessarily needed. If you're going to spend time in the gym, you're going to do all these things to help make your body look better, feel better, and you want to have muscular tone and you want to be more confident and all these different things, that comes from muscle mass. So you want to go to the gym and you want to lift heavy weights, all right? If your goal is just dropping body fat, you don't even have to go to the gym, all right? But I can tell you right now, if you're lifting weights and doing the nutrition side of things and maybe doing some of these, spin classes and all these things on top of your weight training that's structured, and you show up and you do your weightlifting session every single time that it's on your program, you will absolutely crush and you will look amazing, all right? So let's just say your structured training program right now for her is 3 days a week. You can commit to 3 days a week. Some weeks you can commit to 4 or 5 or even 6 days, and then another week you can only commit to 3. Well, let's just do the 3, all right? Let's just do whatever you can actually commit to week after week after week after week. And then if you just enjoy training, you enjoy running, you enjoy spin class, whatever it is, you can throw those in on the other days, and those can all be random, but we want to keep the strength training program solid and consistent week after week. That is going to be an absolute non-negotiable. It will change your body so much, and it will be the one thing that you're going to be like, oh my God, I cannot believe I wasn't doing this before. I can actually train considerably less and just follow this program, and I look way better. Like, I'm telling you right now, it's a huge thing. On the lifestyle side of things, she's only getting 5-6 hours of sleep on the weekends, which I don't know if a lot of you guys know this, but one of the most important things when it comes to changing your body is getting a lot of deep sleep. It's not necessarily like I have to get 7 or 8 hours of sleep, but what happens is when you get 7 to 8 hours of sleep, you get a 40% higher return on your deep sleep, which helps you recover better, you feel less groggy, and you build way more muscle mass. So when you get less sleep, you get less of the deep sleep. When you get less of the deep sleep, you get less muscle mass, you get less recovery. That's when a lot of people come in and they're like, hey, what kind of supplements can you give me for all this muscle soreness? I feel groggy, I feel this way, I feel that way. You can take one of the best supplements in the entire world. It's called sleep, and it's free, all right? It's free. All you need to do is just stop being an idiot at the end of the night and staring at your phone for 2 hours. Or if you're out somewhere and you know that like it's getting closer to your bedtime, just leave. Nothing great ever really happens after like 10 p.m. probably, right? Unless you're single, and you're trying to find somebody out there and whatever, we can sacrifice for a little bit. But if you have all that shit together, like, get your ass home, go to bed, all right? Go to bed. You have goals. There's a difference between somebody who has goals and needs to modify things in their life versus someone like me, for example. I'm in maintenance mode. All I want to do is maintain. I've already put all this work in. I can have a little bit more relaxed lifestyle than other people because I put all that work in already, and it's a lot easier to maintain than it is to get to the goal. All right? So right now, just think of it this way. I'm going to dial all this stuff in. I'm going to do exactly what Ryan is telling me to do. And as soon as I get to my goal, I can loosen up the reins a little bit if I choose to. Maybe I want to go a little bit harder. Maybe I want to make some other little changes. Maybe I want this goal. I want that goal. Whatever it is, you can do that. But what you need to do for right now is dial it in so you can start getting the results. One of the things that people think that they need is they think that they need motivation, and what they need is they need results. When you get results, you get momentum. When you get momentum, you get motivation. When you start getting that motivation based off of the results and based off of the momentum, you just get an absolute, it's just a high. It's just a high. Like, you wind up being addicted to the results and you don't want to stop, all right? It's not even motivation anymore. It's non-negotiable internal mechanics, and you get so excited about it, and you start to hear other people complain about why they're not getting closer to their goals and why this person is doing this and this person's doing that, and you will see it so clearly that it will blow your mind, all right? And you will start to understand why you weren't getting the results that you wanted for such a long time, because you were the person who were blinded by these very, very small things that make huge differences. So let's talk about, I said in the beginning, hey, you can still do this and still get closer to your goal. How do you do that? So one of the things I like to talk about a lot is daily calories versus weekly calories. A lot of people get hung up on, I have to eat 2,000 calories a day because my maintenance calorie is 2,500, and if I eat 2,000 a day, that's going to be 3,500 calories less at the end of the week, and that's 1 pound of fat, and I'm going to lose a pound every week. True, 100% true, all right? But if the weekend comes and you do want to loosen up the reins a little bit, one of the things that you can do is a weekly calorie adjustment. So if your goal is to eat 2,000 calories a day, and by doing that Monday through Friday, you will lose 1 pound per week. That is 14,000 calories per week. Now, if I decide, and that's at 2,000 calories a day, times 7, all right? That's 14,000 calories a week. If I decide I want to eat 17 or 1800 calories per day, what that's going to do is it's going to give me 200 to 300 calories extra per day that I can use as a buffer, calorie buffer, for the weekend. So if I take 200 calories off, it's 1800 calories. By the time I get to Friday, I have an extra 1,000 calories stacked up. All right? So now when I have an extra 1,000 calories on top of my 2,000, now I get to eat 3,000 calories. It's 33% more than my normal. I'm probably going to be pretty good. Probably going to be pretty good. If I have a day where I go very, very far over, I know that I went even more than 1,000 calories over. No big deal. You're cognizant of it. You're looking out for it. It's not something anymore where you're just like, oh, I eat healthy like most of the time and I don't know why I'm getting closer to my goals. No, I know that I've messed up. I still did all this other stuff. I just want to make sure, I just want to double check that I'm still going to get closer to my goals. Wake up the next day and just don't eat until like noon. Like just take away one of your meals. Take away that breakfast. Start to actually actively think about what are the things that I have to do to make up for this big mess up that I had. And it's not even a mess up. It's just a trade. Like I traded these calories for this scenario. But people get hung up and they get really upset when they don't hit their calories every single day, and it kind of gives them like a little bit of self-sabotage. They're like, oh, well, I messed up today, then I'll just mess up tomorrow, and like, or I'll do this or I'll do that. And it's like they start making freaking all these different trade-offs in their head, and it's like, dude, it's one day. Like we can make up for this very, very easily. And the last time that I checked, no one looked in a mirror and they were like, oh my God, my body changed in like 24 hours. No, it changes week by week, month by month. So because of that, I like to think about calories in a weekly format. And this is something I do a lot. I like to tell everyone, you can either eat less of what you currently eat, right? That's the hardest one. Like just eat what you keep eating right now, but eat less of it. Number two is change what you eat. So start eating single ingredient foods, very, very healthy foods. It's very hard to overeat on super healthy foods. So if you change what you eat, more than likely you're going to lose weight. And the third one is change the amount of time you have to eat in the day. So like I was saying, just like cut out breakfast, cut out maybe lunch. It depends how far over you went. So now if I either eat less of what I currently eat, or I change what I eat, or I change the amount of time I have to eat, one of those three things is going to help me lose weight, like super, super easily. And I don't have to stick to one of those forever. I can just do one of them every single day. And as long as I'm cognizant of that and I'm doing that, I know that I'm going to get closer to my goals. So with that being said, the first one was change what you eat. That might be the day that you go out with your friends and just like and eat out with them and stuff like that. You just don't eat as much of the food. Like you get a big entree, whatever it is, and you eat half of it. And you take half of it home. And you just say like, I mean, no one's going to ask you, but like you could just say like, I'm going to save it for later. I'm not super hungry, whatever it is. So now, on top of that, we have this area here with the inconsistent sleep. So when it comes to that, we've already talked about this, but it's very, very important. You just need to understand how important the sleep section is. Also, one more thing, especially when it comes to like weekends and things kind of fading off as that Friday area kind of comes. When you are awake longer, most people don't realize this. If you get 6 hours of sleep and your friend gets 8 hours of sleep, you are awake 2 hours more than your friend. So if we're just comparing two people who are getting results and the other person who's not. Most people eat like every 2 to 3 hours. So if you're awake 2 more hours than someone else, it's 2 more hours that you have to say no to food, right? Like that's pretty standard. Yes, you burn some calories in your sleep, but it's not nearly the same. So if you're awake longer, it's going to be harder for you to say no to food. On top of that, you have this hormone called ghrelin, which increases the less sleep you get. So the less sleep you get, it's actually a disadvantage for you because you wind up being more hungry. The person who slept 8 hours is less hungry. The person who slept 6 is more hungry, and they're awake longer. All right? So that's why sleep is so important. Not just for recovery, but also because of the things I just talked about. So now when it comes to inconsistent sleep, we have to fix that. Number 3, skipping sessions. That's really what happens when your nutrition falls off and kind of like Friday, Saturday, Sunday starts to hit. You start to be a little bit more negotiable in what you need to get done. That's why I was saying it's probably better for Mary or someone else who's listening to this video right now where this applies to you, is to maybe just commit to a 3 or 4 day program versus having a 5 or a 6 day program and you never really follow it consistently anyway. It's way easier to have less days and just hit those numbers, and I promise you're gonna get more results than having a bigger plan and you don't really stick with it. And the reason for that, some of you would probably think like, well, how is that even possible? Because if you're actually logging the numbers and you're making sure that you're getting stronger, you're doing all the things that you need to do, you're gonna be able to come back week after week and keep doing that. So for example, if you have one day of 3 days a week, and then another day where you hit all 5 days per week, that because you're not very consistent, the 5 day per week program, you're gonna be exhausted at the end of that week, and you're gonna come back to the 3-day per week on the next week where you have less time available, and you're not gonna be able to hit all the numbers because you're exhausted from the previous week. You'd rather just have your body just in a flow state of like, I know when I'm training, I know what I have to do, and just consistently get those numbers better and better and better, and that's gonna be better than having 5 days here, 3 days here, 5 days here, 3 days here. I promise you that. So now, this red area is very, very important. This is something I go deep on with my VIP training clients. These are the people who pay me for one-on-one coaching, and this is one of the areas that I never expected to be such a big deal, but it's so big. Like, it needs a whole nother video. But what I'm gonna talk about is this thing called identity. So we're gonna have some strategies. The calorie buffer, that's what we talked about, right? We can start doing this calories per week versus calories per day. An activity adjustment, which might be something like if I'm not gonna train over the weekend and I'm gonna eat a little bit out of normal on the weekend, I'm gonna try to get more steps in. I'm gonna try to be a little bit more active in my things that are not necessarily gym related. I'm gonna get like 15,000 steps a day or something like that. Just because I know I'm gonna be eating more, and this is actually gonna make a huge difference in your body fat, and just like losing weight in general. You start upping your steps per day, so big. And then number 3 and number 4, I'm gonna put over here into identity, which is gonna be non-negotiables and your why. So identity is gonna be, you have to actually become the person who has the goals that you want. Sounds very corny, but it will get you out of some sticky situations a lot. I'm telling you right now, when you go to the gym, it's 1 hour of the day. We have 23 hours of the day for you to mess up all of that progress. So you have to have something mentally in your head that keeps you accountable when nobody's around. That's the thing that's gonna keep you in line with your goal and keep the vision alive 24/7 if you have a deep, deep why. And science tells us that your why is usually 3 layers deep. So the first thing you're gonna tell me is I'm gonna say, hey, why do you want to get a better shape? And you're gonna say, hey, because I just wanna look better. And it's like, why? You wanna look better because X, that's your second layer. And then, so let's just say, for example, you wanna look better because you feel insecure with your shirt off at the beach or at the pool with some of your friends and families or whatever it is. And then if you go a deeper layer to that, is because you want to be a better father figure. You want to look better. You want to be able to kind of like resemble the person who does as good as they are doing at work and in their business and so on and so forth. There's typically 3 layers at least to your why. So what I like people to do is think about what your why is, go 3 layers deep. I think if you ask yourself, like so on and so forth, I want to get fit because I think this or that, or it's going to affect this in my life and so on and so forth. And if it affects that, it's probably gonna do this for me. Like most people, you're deeper than you think. So think about that. And then once you understand what your why truly is, you need to start to become the person who is fit. So instead of trying to become fit, you're gonna start to be someone who is fit. So what that means is like when you go to the grocery store, what does the person who's fit have in their grocery cart? It's different than the things that you want when you're at the grocery store. You start to think about, what does the fittest version of myself get right now? Would the fittest version of myself get all this crap that's at checkout right now? Like you start to ask those kinds of questions. That's why you have to start becoming the person who actually is fit, who actually has the results that you want, because it's the thing that's gonna get you out of these just terrible little scenarios that happen a lot. So that's why I put right here, what are the actions of the person who is fit? So you'll just be constantly thinking about this all the time. It'll be the thing that gets you out of these sticky scenarios. So now, once we understand what that identity is, we want to become this person who is more fit, who has more muscle mass, who is leaner, who is, this and that, all these things that you want. That is when we start to input these things called non-negotiables. So when I have non-negotiables, that means I will go to the gym 3 days a week, no matter what. Even if I'm traveling, I will make sure that there's a gym close to my hotel. Or if there's not, I will drive 10 minutes to the gym that is at my hotel. I will figure out time to go to the gym, even though I have to go speak at some big event, or I have to do this, or I have to do that. I've heard all these things. I have guys literally in my one-on-one program who will wake up at like 4 in the morning, go train, take a shower there, get dressed, go to their big event, whatever it is, and it's non-negotiable for them. It is non-negotiable. And then once you have things non-negotiably into your routine, it's very, very hard to mess you up. Like, it's hard to mess that person up. You are harder to kill, I'm telling you right now. And then, when those non-negotiables are set, another non-negotiable, for example, might be like I hit 10,000 steps a day, no matter what, right? Like right now, I've been working all day, like honestly making this video for you guys, and I don't really have that many steps. But after this, I'm gonna go for a walk for an hour. I'm gonna make some of my calls. I'm gonna go to the gym. At the end of that, I'm gonna go walk around town a little bit more. I'm gonna make sure I get at least 10,000 steps because that's one of my non-negotiables. And then once you have all these things locked in, you are not gonna be worried about why you can't get your shit together anymore. I think the number one thing for a lot of you guys right now, I mean, a lot of these things are extremely important, but one of the big ones is understanding that this 4 out of 7 is 156 days off and you're taking nearly half the year off just because you think that the weekends like aren't a big deal. It doesn't seem like it, like the weekend. You're like, ooh, the weekend is like so short, but it's not. It's half. Like Friday, Saturday, Sunday is like almost half the year. So that's one really big thing. If any of these other things really resonated very, very strongly with you, I highly recommend you go back, watch that section again. There's a lot of really good stuff that I just reminded you when it comes to you getting closer to these goals. Because I talk to people all the time in my one-on-one program, people who want to get into the program or just in general. I've owned a gym since 2014. We're looking at 11 years right now. And I've just worked with thousands and thousands and thousands of people. And sometimes you have your diet, your workout, your lifestyle, all this stuff dialed in. And you're like, Ryan, I mean, I don't even do this. Like all this shit is dialed for me. But you're missing this piece. You're missing the identity. You're missing some non-negotiables. You forgot what your why was. You forgot to actually have some structure. There's a lot of you guys right now too, like you're very successful in your business and you know exactly what you need to do to get from point A to point B, but you don't know what that is when it comes to your fitness. And you don't know what that means when you've hit a goal and then now you're kind of coasting. And because of that, it pulls the reins back in terms of all these other things that keep you in line with where you want to go. Everything in life is about alignment. You have to make sure that you are aligned with where you want to go at all times. And once we lose that alignment, we almost start to go backwards. It's very hard to just like stay flat and just like stay there. Like you can, but you also want to have little things along the way that keep you motivated, that change things up, because there's nothing worse than just doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. That's why I like to tell people to change their nutrition, to change their workout programs, change their coach every once in a while, change, maybe their gym, change something so that it gives you some sort of a stimulus where you're just like, ooh, this is new, this is exciting. That's another reason why the full body program on the Chalk Performance Training app, which we have 62,000 members right now, it's the most popular one because most people haven't done a full body style training program. And again, if anything on this board has really resonated with you, I highly recommend that you just watch it over again. I really appreciate your time. I know we've gone very, very deep on this video. I love this stuff so much. And if you need more help with this kind of stuff, you can find me at chalkperformancetraining.com and you can hop on the Chalk Performance Training app. You have 7 days absolutely free and you can follow one of the programs we have on there. But if you want a more catered, like hands-on service, we do also one-on-one coaching as well. You get access to me, you get access to my coaches, and we do a lot more customized stuff for you, whether it's your nutrition, your training, your mindset, all these different things. And I've seen over 250,000 transformations. It's like one of the craziest ones in the industry. I have over 250,000 transformations now. And this is all I've ever done my entire life. So again, thank you for watching the video. If you have any other ideas of what you'd like me to break down, just go ahead and comment below and I will get to a video like that very, very shortly. Again, thank you so much. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please do so. And if you are watching this on Instagram, give it a like, give it a share, and I will see you in the next video.